Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. So today I'm going to take a look at the Transformers Legacy Evolution Buzzworthy Bumblebee Robots in Disguise 2000 Universe tow line. Let me know what you think of this figure in the comment section down below. Is it a pickup or pass? Now let's take a look at the figure's packaging. So here we have the packaging. Starting at the very front, we have Transformers on the side. We have the Buzzworthy Bumblebee logo at the bottom. We also do have Robots in Disguise 2000 Universe tow line in black text right there. We also have an open one displaying the figure in the packaging. There's a really cool artwork shot of tow line and its pickup truck alt mode. Also, if we do look at the top of the box, there's half an Autobot symbol done in black, and also do we have another Legacy Evolution logo as well. And if we do turn to the side, we have several kind of artwork shots or battle poses. I have several popular Transformers characters such as Bumblebee, Optimus Prime, Megatron, and RC. There's another half of an Autobot symbol also done in black. On the back, the figure transforms in 17 steps. There's several product shots showing off the Evo Fusion Gimmick, the alt mode, and the robot mode. And as for the final side, we have a really cool kind of artwork shot or battle pose of tow line in his robot mode, kind of running into battle, which overall looks very, very cool. And that is pretty much it for the packaging. So let's now get into the review. Here we have tow line in his robot mode. Let's take a look at the details. Starting at the very top with the head sculpt, there's some really nice silver for the mouth guard, some green for the sides of the face, some orange for the visor, and some turquoise blue for that main forehead section, with some really cool kind of tubes or pipes on the forehead looking very cool. I do like this kind of layered paneled effect done in orange at the chest with some really nice turquoise blue as well, and a very classic Autobot symbol done in red with some more of that kind of tubing at the stomach region, with some really nice dark purple for the main waist, with some more at the hands and the biceps. Speaking of that blue, there's actually some at the forearm, and there's some more where the wheel is at the shoulder. I do like all these little spikes where the rim is, and I do like the wheel design done in silver and purple. Also, of course, as you can see on the side, there is a ton of magnetic ports for weapon storage, and it does come with a ton of accessories, and of course I will show all that storage off in just a sec. And overall, I do like all these little spikes and kind of boxes and compartments at the shoulder done in that green. I think that looks really cool. And I do like the legs looking very war-torn and battle-ready. Of course, do be aware there is some gaps which can be filled in with the accessories, so of course pay no mind to those ports right there. Those can be filled in with accessories that I'll show off in just a sec, but there's some really cool spikes there done in green with some more of that rim detailing done in turquoise blue. And again, I really do like that wheel design done in dark purple and the silver for the rims. And I do like all this little nut and bolt detailing on the inside. And I actually have to say, I really like how the front grille section from the truck actually forms the toes in this mode. I love all those spikes and the wiring and the silver. That just looks super cool. As for a side profile, overall not looking too bad. Actually pretty, lean, pretty well compact. I do have to say this really is a complaint not specific to tow line, really just the scrap hook mold in general. Of course, if you watch my previous two reviews on this mold, you'll hear that same complaint in that video. Of course, never been a big fan of this huge heel spur design. I think they stick out just a tad bit too much. I do understand why they're there. Of course, it does help with the stability of the figure, but he's not really that top heavy of a figure. He's actually quite light for a deluxe, so I really don't think those heel spurs need to be as big as they were. So maybe a tad bit smaller would have been nicer. But if we do look at the back of the arms and the back of the legs, overall really well filled in, no kibble, no panels, no waffling, really good job with that. I do have two complaints though. One I've actually mentioned before with the previous two uses of this mold. The backpack, it's not too bad, of course, not too big, but it's hollow, which is a bit weird. So I think it would have been better if they actually just folded these panels in to, of course, use that space. I do know why there's the space there. For the alt mode, of course, the head actually folds in using that space, so I do know why it's there, but for this mode, they probably could utilize that open space, of course, for these panels to make it a bit more streamlined and compact. Unfortunately, there is actually a new complaint that actually does not apply to axle grease or scrap hook. He actually does have hollow head syndrome, unfortunately. It is a brand new head sculpt, of course, different from axle grease or scrap hook, which is a nice inclusion. I do like the mold change, but unfortunately, as you can see, hollow head syndrome, which is a bit unfortunate, but not a very big complaint. But now for articulation, of course, the arms can move out and in, forward and back. There is bicep rotation, elbow bends. There is a full functioning wrist rotation. If you do move the arms out of the way, of course, there's a full functioning waist rotation all the way around. And if you're wondering about the brand new head sculpt, quite limited, really cannot look up or down. It cannot really just move side to side and no tilting at all, but very minor complaint. Could have been improved. I think it's probably a little bit better on axle grease and scrap hook, but if you're wondering about the articulation, for the rest of the figure, the arms and the legs pretty much stays the same. But speaking of the legs, they can kick forward and back. Out to the side, there is rotation at the top of the knee. There is a knee bend. There is an ankle pivots and also a pivot forward and back. So yeah, really good articulation. Pretty standard for a deluxe class figure. Of course, if this is your first time experiencing, this mold in general, it's pretty good articulation for a deluxe. Very average. And if you've had, the previous two versions, you know exactly what to expect here. Really, the only thing that's changed or gotten worse for articulation is the head sculpt. It probably could have had some more, movement or motion with that. But as for accessories, they're the exact same ones that came with Scraphook, the original use of this mold. No differences in mold or no new accessories. Like Axle Grease, you actually come with brand new accessories. This one, of course, just taking these Scraphook ones, of course, adding a new coat of paint, and that's pretty much it. Considering this is a Target exclusive, it would have been nice maybe if he included a brand new accessory, but he does have a brand new head sculpt, which is a really nice inclusion. So I'm just going to quickly go through all the accessories. Of course, he does have that really cool saw, probably one of my favorite accessories that came with Scraphook, and you can actually attach it onto the form. I'm just going to show you how I typically store them. Of course, as I mentioned before, there is a ton of MechTech parts across this entire figure because, of course, they are utilizing that Junkyard mold, so you can really store them however you wish. I'm just going to do it how I typically do it. If you want to do the same, of course, by all means. As for the other accessories, he does come with two blasters, which I actually typically do store on the legs to fill in those gaps because I do not like leaving that space empty, so I just store them right here to fill in that gap there. Same post and port system as usual, just like that. And I actually think that looks really cool to have these huge canisters kind of sticking out the front of the leg. I think that looks really cool. And as for the crane, I typically kind of just put it, on the form. You can put it in the hand if you want to. Either way, I think that looks good. And as for the last two remaining identical accessories, you just use those little, pipe pieces, and I just store them inside the wheel like that and hinge them up. And you can imagine some huge flames, shooting out the top if you wanted to. That'd be pretty cool. And same thing on the other side, just hinge those up. And there we have all the accessories stored on a tow line. Let's now get down to some comparisons. So first off, here he is actually with another Buzzworthy Bumblebee figure from the Legacy Evolution line, that being Origins Jazz. I think this was the last one they released, which I think is a pretty cool figure. I think they look pretty cool side by side. And now for some mold comparisons. Here he is with Axle Grease, my recently reviewed figure from the Legacy Evolution line. As you can see, of course, mold changes wise, pretty much all the differences that I mentioned before with Scraphook, of course. This figure, the only differences between, Scraphook and toe line is that head sculpt. But there's actually quite a few, there's new accessories, a brand new head sculpt, new chest. So two pretty different figures, really just kind of a matter of opinion of which deco you prefer. Probably of the deco, I prefer Axle Grease, but her tolerances are pretty bad. So it does make me kind of want to put her on the bottom of the list of, the overall figure, enjoyability, deco, the tolerances. I have to say probably Scraphook is the best of the three so far. And speaking of Scraphook, let's actually bring him out for another comparison, a mold comparison. And as I mentioned before, the only change is that head sculpt. The accessories are the same, and of course a brand new coat of paint or a brand new deco. And if you do want to see a side-by-side, or kind of a side view there, and we do have the back there, overall looking pretty cool. And that is pretty much it for comparisons. Let's actually now get down to transformation into his truck mode. So now for transformation, what you're going to do is hinge the arms out like that. And then you're actually going to rotate the waist all the way around. Then you're going to untab the shoulder from the main neck or kind of chest region of the figure. Then you're going to rotate the arms out and then just hinge this entire chest piece down like that. And how this was tabbed into place is there is tabs on the shoulders and slots where the neck region is. Then you're actually going to flip to the back, hinge the foot in to form the main grille section and front hood section of the truck. Same thing on the other side. Then you're going to tab both halves together like that. There we go. Then you're going to flip these panels out and then just hinge this entire section down. And then you're going to fold the head in and then fold all of this up like that to form the pretty much entire front half of the truck. You're actually going to want to leave these panels out for now. We're actually going to focus on the back portion of the truck now. So just hinge the arms up like that. Then you're going to rotate at the form, rotate at the hands, rotate at the form, and then rotate at the hands. So how all this tabs into place is there is actually tabs on the inside of the form and slots on the inside of the shoulders. So you're actually just going to kind of fold these up and just fold the arm down and tab that into place. Same thing on the other side. Just tab the arm in like that. And then you're going to tab both halves together to form the main back portion of the truck and just hinge this down. Flip to the bottom, there is a slot there and a tab right there. That's just going to tab into place. It can be a bit tricky to align, but that should tab in there nice and strong. As for these panels, of course, there is slots on the inside of the panel and tabs on the outside of the legs. Just tab those in, make sure everything is nice and secure, and that is pretty much it for transformation. But of course, as you can see, the truck mode is very incomplete, so you're going to want to attach all the accessories. So I'm going to show you according to the instructions, but of course there is mech tech ports across the entire alt mode, so it's really up to you how you want to display them. I typically am by the book, by the instructions, and of course you can really do whatever you want. So of course he does come with quite a few. These two pistols are kind of blasters do form this main kind of engine block section on the front hood. Just plug those into place like that. There we go. Overall looking pretty cool. As for these kind of pipe pieces or kind of smokestack pieces, these will just attach onto the side of the car. You know, the same post and port system that we're used to with most accessories. Tab those there. As for, of course, the back, you're actually going to attach this really cool kind of spike wheel thing. You can imagine these are like thrusters, you know, shooting huge flames out of them if you wanted to. And then, of course, you're actually going to attach this crane. Again, same post and port system. Just plug that into place like that. And there we have all the accessories attached to tow line. Let's now take a look at the details. Here we have tow line in its truck mode. Let's take a look at the details. Starting at the very front, we have some really nice silver for this main spike section here, or grill section with some really cool wiring. And I love this huge engine block section on the front hood done in silver. They're actually kind of canisters, which is really cool. Love the design and the sculpt work there. Some really nice orange for these front windows on the side as well. I love all the wires and panels kind of barring the windows. And there's some really cool patches on the side with some really cool scrapes and some nut and bolt detailing. I do love the turquoise blue for the rims with the really cool spikes. And the wheel design I do like with the silver for the main intersection of the wheel, done with some really nice nut and bolt detailing, and some nice dark purple for the wheel itself. And overall rolls pretty well across the ground. This is a cloth surface. There is a little bit of grab. If you had a flat surface, probably would roll a little bit better. As for the top, as you can see there, and the bottom, overall pretty well compact, because with some figures you can actually see pretty much most of the robot mode, you know, the head, the arms, and everything there, but overall really well put away and compact. We do have these really cool pipe or kind of smokestack pieces on the sides, and the back wheel, of course, pretty much the same design as the front. And we have the entire, you know, trunk section here with a really cool crane and spike wheel. I do love all of this, but I really don't like the huge open hands. It would have been nice if there was like a panel to cover that, or maybe they could have changed the transmission where you actually rotate the hands a different way. You could actually try that out. I'm not really sure if there's enough space to do that. I might actually try that out after this review, but overall it's a pretty fun, you know, battle ready post-apocalyptic pickup truck. But now for some comparisons, here he is with Origins Jazz. Here he is with Axle Grease. Overall looking very cool. And for one final comparison, here he is with the original Scrap Hook. And please do let me know in the comment section below of this Scrap Hook mold, which one is your favorite so far of the three. I have to say probably for the robot mode, I prefer Scrap Hook, but for the alt mode, I think I probably like the deco and design of Axe Grease. That's just my opinion anyway. Let me know in the comments. And if you do want kind of a side view there, profile view, looking pretty cool. And then we do have the back. And of course, I'll actually bring in Axe Grease for a huge, you know, family group comparison to have all of them next to each other. And I think that looks pretty cool. And that is pretty much it for the alt mode. Let's now get down to reverse transformation. So what you're going to do is just remove all the accessories and just put them off to the side. Just get them out of the way. Take off the smokestacks, the crane, the wheel. And then you're just going to take this huge engine block section off, just kind of pop them off like that. So there we go. Just put all of that off to the side. You're going to bring these panels up from the sides like that. And how these were tabbed into places, there is a slot there and a tab on the side of the leg. You're going to hinge this entire section up like that. So there is a tab there and a slot on the chest. You're actually going to separate this entire back section here carefully, because sometimes, unfortunately, the arms can pop off. Not as often as Axe Grease, but it still does happen. Then you're just going to unravel the arms like that. And then you're just going to extend the shoulder joint out. As I said before, sometimes pop off, but you can just pop them back on. Just extend that shoulder joint like that. There we go. And then what you're going to do is actually rotate at the form where it is like this. There we go. Rotate it the correct way. There we go. And rotate it again. And then you can rotate at the hand or wrist. And there we have the arms all done. And you're actually going to hinge this entire section up like that. Bring this entire section up again. You're going to flip out the head like that. We can actually go to the front, rotate the arms down, open up the shoulders like that, and this will just tab into place. There is tabs at the shoulder and slots where the neck or kind of head region is, and you're just going to lock all of that into place. There we go. Then you're going to rotate at the waist, untab the legs, then you're going to bring the foot down and out. Same with the other leg, bring it down and out, and then you're just going to kind of put them in a neutral pose like that. And then you can go to the back, bring these panels in, and there we go. And that is pretty much it for reverse transformation. I'm actually going to quickly show off his Evo Fusion Gimmick. So now for Toeline's Evo Fusion Gimmick, you're actually going to want to have him in his truck mode and pretty much just separate all the pieces like this. So of course have the front of the truck in two separate pieces, which of course were his legs in the robot mode, and have the back portion of the truck, which were his arms in the robot mode, have those separate too. And actually this main chunk or kind of midsection of the truck, you actually do not use at all for the Evo Fusion Gimmick. According to the instruction anyway, of course, Evo Fusion Gimmick, especially for these Junkion type figures, you can actually pretty much do whatever you want. You can use all the pieces you want. You can lease them off to the side, or you can use them. I'm typically kind of just going to leave this off to the side because of course that's how the instructions show it. There's a bit of preparation actually, or kind of transformation where the arms are concerned. The legs or these front portions of the truck actually do stay the same. You're going to unravel the arm like that. So of course there is a tab and slot there. You just kind of unravel that and then hinge the peg up and do the same thing on the other side. Just hinge that peg up, and there we have pretty much all the pieces ready. So according to the box, they actually use Armada Hotshot, so I'm just going to do the same, just of course for your sake. So you're actually going to get these pieces here, use that post and port, and plug that into the bottom of his foot, just to add some extra height, like that. And since this is, the Evo Fusion Gimmick, you can really do this with any deluxe you want. It does not matter. And let me just quickly try and stabilize them. It can be a bit wonky at times. There we go. Hopefully that's more stable. There we go. And then as for these front truck pieces, actually will form kind of shoulder pads. You're just going to use this post and port, plug that into place like that. Do the same thing on the other side. Plug that into place like that. And there we have all the pieces attached. Of course, he comes with a ton of accessories. Let me just quickly stabilize him. Can be a bit hard to stand. There we go. So, Toeline comes with a ton of accessories, so you can really, again, as I said, leave some on, take some off, really up to you. So it has all these pieces. By the instructions, they actually do show a set way, but I'm going to really just do it how I like it. So I typically kind of like these huge pipe pieces stored on the shoulders. I think that looks the best like that. Same thing over here. And yeah, he is very wobbly and wonky. You just need to properly set him down. Might just actually have to lean him. There we go, there we go. And then as for the saw piece, I'm actually going to attach this to his form, like that. And then I might just leave these blasters off to the side because he seems pretty well equipped. So there we have Toeline's Evo Fusion Gimmick. Of course, you can do this with any deluxe. I just used Hotshot as an example because that's actually what they showed the figure being used on the box. So overall, that's pretty much it for the Evo Fusion Gimmick for Toeline. I probably won't use this mode that much, but it's pretty creative and fun. Let's now get down to the final thoughts. Now for the final thoughts for the Transformers Legacy Evolution Buzzworthy Bumblebee Robots in Disguise 2000 Universe Toeline. I think overall this is a pretty fun figure. Is it a must-buy? That kind of depends if you like repaints and of course if you have the space in your collection and the space in your budget. I actually quite like repaints. There's some situations where I like the repaint more than the original. I wouldn't say this is one of those situations, but I still think it's a pretty fun repaint. If you don't know, this is actually using the scraphook mold from Legacy Evolution Wave 1. It was a deluxe class figure, and the only new tooling or new molding is the head sculpt. I do like the head sculpt. It's actually a really interesting design with all the tubes and kind of pipes on his forehead, and I do like the orange for the main visor and the silver for the mouth section. I do have a complaint though, unfortunately, if you do look at the back of the head, he does have hollow head syndrome. It's not the worst I've seen. Some of them, of course, are completely hollow. There is still a bit of plastic to fill it in, but it's kind of disappointing considering this is a Target exclusive. And of course, the accessories, the arms, legs, chest, everything else is pretty much the exact same thing. Of course, just a brand new deco. A new accessory would have been nice considering this is a Target exclusive. I do like the inclusion of a brand new head sculpt, but maybe there could have been something just added, just something small, could have probably made it a bit more interesting. As for, of course, tolerances, overall a huge improvement over Axle Grease. I actually just recently reviewed a couple days ago Axle Grease, which is a really solid figure. I love the deco, probably my favorite deco and design of all three versions of this mold so far, but her tolerances are definitely what brings the figure down. Her legs and arms pop off a lot, just pieces constantly pop off. Overall, of course, if you just, leave it alone, just put it on a shelf, it's fine, but whenever you want to transform it or pose it, that's usually when, of course, you have the biggest problem. So huge improvement that, or I wouldn't say, of course, the tolerances on this figure are perfect. They're definitely not, of course, Scraphook level. I have no problems with Scraphook's tolerances, but this one, it's definitely back to the standard that I had before with Scraphook, so it's good. They're going in the right direction. It could have just been bad luck, I don't know. Maybe Axle Grease, maybe every copy has bad tolerances, or it could have just been me. I really do not know. As for transformation, if you do have Axle Grease or Scraphook, you pretty much know exactly what to do here. There is no new steps, for that head sculpt. Everything is pretty much the same. Speaking of transformation, this complaint really is, of course, for all versions of this mold, not really toe line specifically. It's a good truck mode, but the transformation has never really been my favorite because the arms, the transformation definitely could have been better. There's just very little clearance, and especially when you have loose joints on top of that, of course, the arms pop off occasionally. So where the arms are concerned, they definitely could have done that better if Hasbro is listening. Most likely they're not. But again, not specific to toe line, really just the mold in general. The transformation of the arms definitely could have been more simple and less irritating, and of course, definitely more clearance, because there's very little space to do anything with your arms and actually be smooth and show good, of course, on camera. Hopefully it was smooth for you guys. I tried to slow it down a bit and show the steps as best I can. As for the truck mode, really no complaints. For new molding, it's pretty much the exact same thing as Scraphook, of course. The accessories, I actually really do like the accessories. You can store them in a ton of different ways because there's so many MechTech ports, so many different ways you can store them. I typically go by the book, by the instructions. That's just really just me. Of course, you can be more creative than me. Of course, you can actually attach him, to other junk guns if you want to. You can attach him to Scraphook and Axle Grease, and of course that new Trash Masters that's coming out. I typically kind of keep them separately, but if you want to be more creative than me, go right ahead. But overall, it is a good figure. Again, as I said, isn't a must-buy, kind of depending if you do like repaints, and of course you have space in your budget or in your collection. I have to say, if you have space and you find this, of course, in Target, I actually have to say I highly recommend it. There's some things that are definitely I like about this figure more than the previous two. Would I say this is my favorite of the three? Probably not, but there is some things that I actually like about this one more than the others. Please do let me know in the comment section down below what you think of this figure. Of the three versions of Scraphook so far, Axle Grease, Scraphook, and Toe Line, which one is your favorite version or use of the mold? Let me know in the comments. I hope you enjoyed, and I will see you next time.